So the same thing, when we pass, we'll be saying our names to people as we pass this. So this is another passing game. It's called Pass the Love. And if you look, I want you to explore your box. You can see yourself, right? Yes? So put your hands up. Everybody put your hands up, okay? And just explore the outside of your box. So you're just doing this for you, okay? Just doing it for you. If you back up, you can, get out a little bigger. If you come in closer, you can explore this way. If you play this with kids, they feel weird, but they start laughing about that. Actual application in another format. When you do this with your Godspell kids, explore your area. Your area is only 3 feet. Now your area is 10 feet. And they don't just, you'll get kids that will walk, and I said, that's one way to explore it. Now, can you fill it physically? Can you fill this area physically up and down? Okay. So that's how you do that. Once you've figured out this, then you define the end of your space. Zoom and Shares has defined the end of our space. And I'm going to take a box, a gift, and I'm going to give it to Jason. And as I give it to Jason, oh yeah, I'm in the same spot. I'm going to give, so I'm just going to pass it to Jason, and Jason's going to take it. Can you take it? And then he pulls it into his space. Perfect. Now, what he's going to do is he's going to give that to somebody else. So can you pass that to somebody else? Say their name and then who you're going to pass it to. And they perfect.
You look above me, so I'm
That's okay. That's okay. Perfect. Megan, say someone's name and pass that to somebody else.
Leslie, you look like you're over here, so I don't know. There you go.
Perfect.
Helen, I'm going to pass to you.
What? Carmen, I'm going to pass to you.
Jason, it's coming back to you.
Michael, we passed this all the way back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so tell me, what does this exercise do in this Zoom format? What does it do for you? Meaning, what do you think what skills does this work on for a student? What does it do?
Contact, right? You contact the other person, and it's a lot about the offers thing, the accepting and giving, in a way.
Yep. Yeah. You guys are so good. You teach this class because you use those magic words like offers, gifts. Carmen, this goes back to what we talked about before when we said yes and accepting something from someone else and giving it to it. This reminds me of many other theater games. They're not on the list, but another way of playing this is you bring it in and you make something with it. It's a form game. You take this shape and then you pull it out, and you can turn it into a glass. You can turn it into a blender. You can turn it into a gun. You can turn it into a flower. And then you pass that thing. The person receives that through pantomime, defining what it is, and uses it. And then after using that flower or that whatever, then they morph it into something else and give it. And it can be used in the same manner. This game is called Pass the Love on the Zoom sheet that I gave you. But I've heard it called form pass or passing the shape or different things like that. And it actually works within the Zoom format too. The next one I'm going to do is a kind of word one. You've all played games where you have, I'm making an assumption here. Helen, I'm assuming because you write really great papers that you teach at a college level and you teach
just
English.
Started.
Is that correct?
Helen's
just
teaching.
Started last semester.
Yeah, she's
Cool.
teaching for us at JSU as an adjunct.
Fabulous.
Yes.
So I have theater teachers here, English teachers, academics, all of the above, and I'll try to make applications as we go through the games. But I believe in making English classes get up and perform and engage too as well. So this next one is a yes and game. It works on the premise of us building a scene with one another, and it's a fairly instant scene. So if I was building the scene with Leslie, what I would do is I would go, "Oh, Leslie," say her name, so that acknowledges who I'm talking to, and then I start a story. And as I start into the story, I've heard this game called High School Reunion, or I've heard it called Family Reunion, but it works on the premise of this, and the game on the sheet is called Remember When. So I look at Leslie and I go, "Oh, Leslie, do you remember when we went to Hawaii? Wasn't that a great trip?" And then
Yes.
she was,
Oh, sorry. Yes,
yep.
Michael. And do you remember when we swam down to the coral reef?
Oh, yeah, and that dolphin came up. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe that dolphin climbed up, and I mean, it was pretty amazing the way you were able to climb on top of it and start to ride that dolphin. I mean, amazing.
Yes, and I was actually surprised that the dolphin knew where our resort was and just took me back there.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. I mean, when it started talking, that kind of freaked me out, though, right? I mean, he didn't know our names. I assume he was a he. I wasn't sure, but you know, when he started talking and said, "Hey, my name's Charlie. You want me to take you back to the hotel?" I mean, remember? I mean, I almost coughed out of my snorkel. I mean, it was terrifying. Terrifying. Whatever happened at the end of that? What happened? I forget.
Charlie actually came back to the resort with us because we had a saltwater pool,
Oh,
and he ended up being our favorite guest and a total hit. I think he's still there and he draws in a crowd.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's right. I had forgotten that. I remember he would pass out drinks and have a great time. I mean, that hotel should thank us for swimming out by that reef out there, right? Yeah.
Yes, I think we should get another free vacation.
Remember when it uses Sarah. Welcome,
Sarah's here.
Sarah. Welcome. Um, so what I love about the game is it builds that yes and concept. You'll notice that she confirmed what I gave, and then she makes the story, and then the story goes on and on and on and on. It doesn't have to be fantastical. It can. I mean, you don't have to have talking dolphins or Gandalf show up or all that type of stuff, but you do have to say yes to the concepts that are being given. And you'll notice when she said, "Yeah, you know, we swam back to the hotel and took us back to the hotel," you just kind of confirm as you work into each of those. So I'd like to play a little bit of this so that we can pass. I'm going to let Jason start. He can choose whoever. Let's not pick on Sarah until she knows what we're doing. All right. So Megan and Carmine and Leslie are free game until Helen comes back. Okay, cool. Go ahead, Jason. How do you want to begin?
Megan, do you remember when we were kids and we were in that play?
Oh, yes. And do you remember how much all the girls just wanted to talk and then we couldn't even get through rehearsals? It was so crazy.
I mean, what was that one talking girl's name? What was her name?
I think her name was Debbie. And I remember that
Debbie.
because I was like, who is an 8-year-old with the name Debbie? That's like an old
Exactly.
lady name, you know?
I mean,
But
I think she probably got it from her grandma. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it was just a '90s Southern mom kind of thing to do. But I mean, 'cause that was a dance mom if I ever met one. You know what I mean? But
I'm
what
telling
do you know what they're doing now? Do you know what they're up to these days? Have you seen them on Facebook?
Debbie, I've seen her on Facebook, and I'm telling you, she's been through at least like 3 husbands now.
Oh my goodness. Well, to each their own. No judgment. I mean, I'm already on number 2, so
Yeah,
can't judge.
Jen, you know, just saying.
Yeah. And then
Well
what
done.
about the director? The director, do you remember her? She was a character.
That director was my favorite director. You know, she had a little bit of a drinking problem, but
Yeah, we all knew that was not Sprite in that.
not Sprite. You remember that time that she fell off the stage?
Yes, yes. And I remember that there were no adults at that rehearsal, which was so weird because, the parents were always in our business. But we were the ones that had to call the ambulance. And you remember that you were the one that was like, does anybody know the number to call? And we were all like, 911.
Yeah, and those are great times.
Yes, good times back in children's theater. None of this is true, by the way. We did children's theater.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Yes.
And I want to celebrate. And when you play these with the kids, do that. The freeness of the choice. I also love the way they fed one another. And again, I'm not saying anything about 7th and 8th grade kids. I'm just acknowledging them that many times they make it all about themselves. And many times they have to be the star. And this game is not about that. They'll try to go on and on and on. But you'll notice how Megan asked questions and gave information to, in other words, she set the scene up and then asked him to respond to it. There's another statement in good improv work, Chicago Improv, where it says statements are gifts, questions are thieves, but not the way these questions were given. They were really amazing. In other words, if she or he were to just go, well, what is this? Then it's just throwing it to him and he has to come up with it. But instead of, they had a drinking problem. What was that incident that happened? And then they can run with whatever that idea is. So it's a really beautiful way to build scenes. Now, this is a really great entry point to language arts assignments. Mm-hmm. So you play this game all through the class. You divide them into pairs, and they do this. They'll create their own scenes. Then you go back to, and you have them write, just kind of do a free-form journal entry, write about what they're doing. It works, really, really, really well. Somebody else want to play, or do we want to move on to the next game? Doesn't make a difference to me.
This would be a really good icebreaker for a creative writing workshop.
Absolutely. I do this all the time, so I apologize. I'll try to get to all of the other. I'll try to get a description of this. This game is not on our website, nor is it in what I just sent to you. But there's another. It's one of my favorite games called What's in the Box. Mm-hmm. And so you take the box, and I have a scene partner. So I've got the other scene partner. I'm going to play with Sarah right now. So I have the box, and she asked me, what's in the box? So ask me what's in my box.
What's in your box?
And then I get the choice of whatever's in the box. So I'm going to say an iguana. I have an iguana in my box. And then she confirms, she goes, an iguana. I got an iguana in the box. And then she starts asking me questions about the iguana. So ask me any question about it. And not yes or no questions, but questions that will expand and help me lead out. So go ahead. What question do you want to ask me about my iguana?
How did you get the iguana?
That's a perfect question. That is a perfect question. So rather than is it blue or is it red, which makes you the storyteller, what you asked was beautiful. And so I'll say the following. Well, my grandma gave it to me. Now, this is where the game gets a little complicated, but I love it. And she says yes, or she'll say no. So in other words, I am trying to get to the alpha choice. I'm trying to get to the best, most fantastic, most unpremeditated story. So she's going to say no until I come up with a choice that she confirms. Okay. So how did I get the iguana? My grandma gave it to me.
No.
I got it at a local thrift store.
No.
I was driving down the street and I saw this guy in the corner and he just said free iguanas and he gave me this free iguana.
No.
Yeah? Yeah. Is that a no?
I like that better than the thrift store.
Yeah. I found in the bottom of a Cracker Jack box. No,
No.
no. I stole it from the zoo.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I stole it from the zoo. So yeah, I walked into the zoo and I went, I want an iguana. And so I grabbed it and I took it from the zoo. And then she'll ask me another question about it.
How did you? Sorry, How did you smuggle it out of there without anybody seeing you?
I had a very large bag and I put it in the very large bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then it goes on and on and on. Now I divide the classroom into pairs. They get the choice of what's in the box. They do not get the choice on the other. True improv artists have said to me, they go, yeah, but you're saying no. And I go, it's not about saying no. It's about helping my scene partner find the best, most non-premeditated idea. And what's funny, it happened here. You all went, oh, that's a funny answer. Oh, that's a funny answer. Oh, dude, that's original. You had to dig deep for that one. And in a classroom, as you move around, try this at Godspell rehearsal. They're giggling, they're laughing as they're helping each other with their stories. You need to check in with them, and it's sometimes best to demo with someone asking you what's in the box and then asking them so that they know what the questions are like, because they start contributing to each other's stories in such a way that is it red? Is it grandma? They want to control where the story goes. And the goal is not to control where the story goes. The goal is to get to the alpha idea. Yeah, yes.
A great exercise to teach collaboration.
Yes, yeah.
I don't generally teach theater, so I'm thinking about it outside and more of an English and writing context. But I mean, it definitely does teach students how to collaborate and how to work together.
Well, and I do a playwriting exercise in my theater appreciation course, and we will sometimes use yes and in some of the improv games because they want to do something really easy, like mom and dad are in the kitchen arguing about money, and I'm bored with that. So we use some of these games to come up with what their plot of their play should be.
My classes are mixed levels. Like I have theater 1 through 4 all together. And so I could see this as a really good way. Yeah, I don't know how they think that works, but we do the best we can to challenge the upper level, advanced kids, but not let the novices, miss out on the basics that they need. But this would be a really good activity for the veteran actors to kind of challenge those novice actors to elevate their ideas a little bit, because sometimes what I notice is we do improv and they say yes but those veteran actors feel like, okay, we could have gone in a different direction and I really could have run with this, but I had to say yes to this unoriginal idea. And it's not their fault, it's just they're a novice and they're learning improv. And it's challenging for anybody, especially a kid who's in theater 1 and is still intimidated of performing and thinking on the spot. And so this would be an interesting way to help the upper level theater students say yes but also challenge those novice students, like, okay, you've got a revision opportunity, and then I'm going to say yes and to this really good original idea and confirm that was a great idea. I love it. I want to say yes to this, so that those novice theater students are really saying, oh, okay, this is where I can go with this. Because sometimes they may not think, magical, fantastical, outside the box. They may be sticking with reality, and that kind of sometimes limits their choices. So I could see this being really useful with my kids in my classroom to help challenge novice actors.
Fabulous. The other thing that I think it does is I've had to teach those type of classes before. It's when the numbers are not up enough and an administrator says, well, we're going to dump them all in here. You go, wow, what am I going to do? And I've actually really, really enjoyed the freshness of those green kids coming in for those know-it-all actors up here. What I love about the exercise too is Sarah was accountable in making sure that I got to a good story there. So pressure is not just on me. And she was very kind that she let me get away with just a bag there too. I do find that sometimes happens. I'll walk around and I'll see somebody and they're saying no, no, no. Say, okay, guys, you gotta give them a little bit. They've got to make sure that they're able to get there. But I also love the fact that no, I think just beyond the hill, there's going to be some really great, and you'll see it in the kids. The kids will go, God, I got it from grandma's old trunk.
So you put it in your sleeve or in your shirt or something like that. Something feasible, something plausible that didn't involve, like aliens, but a little harder than a bag.
Correct. And sometimes the more obvious, sometimes the best choice is the less obvious choice, as you just talked about. So I will remember on our break to see if I can find just a definition of what's in the box, but because I don't think it's in any of our. I'll see if it's online, but I have it in my other class materials. And
I've got a question, Michael.
Yeah.
So when you say no, do you say no in character, or do you say it as someone who's conscious of playing the game? If you say it in character, or you accuse the other person of lying, not being forthcoming, or is it?
Yeah. No. That's a good point. And again, when I demo it, as we just did here, I mean, Sarah's my friend. She's just simply, she's saying, no. I mean, you're just helping. You're like a writer at a desk thinking, no. I mean, you're a co-collaborator on this scene. You're trying to get the person to the best. There's, are you guys having a good time? Once again, Michael Barr strays up.
It seems more like brainstorming than refining.
Yes.
It's pitching it to my kids like, hey, you're in the SNL writer's room or something, and you're trying to challenge each other to come up with a skit.
I see.
So you're the person they're bouncing ideas off of, and you're just trying to help them get to that really great spot where this is going to be just the best skit you could come up with.
Yep. You don't know this. Only my wife knows this. I appear to have it all together. The way this personality functions is I am, nobody knows this, but I'm highly organized, as in I have multiple plans that I got papers, I got a sheet over here. It's the way my ADHD works. And then I panic all night about what on earth are you going to throw at me? And then when I'm in the zone, you guys come up with these amazing things. And then I go completely, and I go four-wheeling off-road into this beautiful land, which is so much better than what I planned. So I'm going four-wheeling. I'm going off-road. There's another really great game that I think you all would love called Pillars. And it works like this. There's two people on stage. Carmen reminded me of this. There's two people up here, and we come up with a scene for them. Okay?
Yeah.
And the scene is, give me a location, any location.
Chicago.
Thank you. Chicago, more specific. I mean, Chicago's pretty specific.
A speakeasy in Chicago.
There we go.
A speakeasy in Chicago. And what is the relationship between these two people?
A bookie and his customer.
Okay, a bookie and his customer. So they're talking. For those of you that know, I thought you said Wookiee first, and I went, "Wow, we're going there." A Wookiee and a speakeasy in Chicago with Han Solo. Could be a bookie also. So they're trying to put together some type of bet. So that's the scene between each other. Okay, so those two people are doing the scene. Just offside of those two people are two helpers, co-collaborators, who are not in the scene. They are just there. Okay, all right. And so this scene, I'm going to give this scene to Jason and Leslie. Okay, so Jason and Leslie are doing this scene. All right. So they're going to start a scene. They're going to just start going. And as they start to go, when they need help, they will reach out to somebody. They'll reach out to the person offside and touch them, or they'll ask that there. So for example, if I was doing this scene, I would say, hey, Leslie, I really want to put, $100 down on that horse, if you can make that happen. At that point, Leslie said, absolutely. But the problem is, and she reaches out and she touches Megan. And the problem is, and Megan will say, whatever will help or contribute to the scene, whatever first comes to your mind. The problem is, I got to babysit my kids before I do that debate, or before I do that bet. And then the scene will continue. And then it becomes Jason's turn to reach out to his scene partner and to grab his scene partner. Does that make sense? Do we want to do it? I've never done this in Zoom. Off-road. Are you ready? Let's ride our four-wheelers. Okay.
Do we pre-designate our pillars?
Yes. Let's pre-designate the pillars. Okay. Yep. And I will tell you, as a pillar, it is best to brainstorm rather than to think of, I'm going to think of the most bizarre off thing. It's best to just come up with something here. So Leslie, Carmen is your partner, and Jason,
okay.
Megan is your partner, and Devon, welcome. So good to see you, man. Okay.
Jason,
so let's
going to be the bookie or the customer?
I'll
be the bookie. I'll be the bookie.
You got it.
All right.
Let's start this scene, and when you need help, another caution. I've seen some kids go on and on and on and on and on, and I'll say, guys, you need to use your scene partner. Use that scene partner. So they're not in the scene, they're in your head. And you reach out, and then you have to say yes to whatever they say. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's go with the scene.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, Joe.
What's up?
I think I want to put $25 down on the old gray mare.
25 old gray mare.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good to me, except for there's just one problem.
What?
Hey, look, the old gray mare's going down. We got it all set up. It ain't gonna happen.
All right, but just between you and me, Jason, old gray mare, it's a little fixed. Just that one. Choose another horse.
But I like the old gray mare. What do you mean? Megan, I need help.
Oh, mute.
I think you're on mute.
Sorry. So, where'd you hear this information? Why am I supposed to trust that this is fixed? Did you fix it?
Who told you that?
My sources are my business. I can't tell you about my sources. Just trust the information. Choose another horse. All right, you got another one? What's your second favorite? Come on.
Okay, Flapjack. I'll put down $25 on Flapjack.
All right. Flapjack's a good call. It is a good call. Only there's just one hitch.
Look, Flapjack, you can't put down $25 on Flapjack. You got to put down $125.
Right. See, Flapjack, he's like a shoe-in, right? So everybody's putting the dollars down on the Flapjack. So I need you to up it a little bit.
I thought you knew that already.
Yeah.
But I can't. I can't do. Why can't I do that, Megan?
Because you have to pay your rent. You gotta get groceries. You can't just come up with $100 at the last minute.
My wife doesn't know I'm here. I've stolen the grocery money, and I can only do 25.
Good. And scene. Well done.
I was gonna turn into an ethical bookie.
Yeah. Nice.
I did not know enough about being a bookie or bets or anything to participate. I was out of my element there.
Yeah. But I have to tell you. So let me celebrate. So two things. Whenever you're playing games, it is okay. Gone is the world of just playing games for the heck of playing games. We are playing games to teach them to be better actors. We're playing games to teach them to make better offers. We're playing games to teach them to affirm and to say yes to their partners. etc. Really, really good demo here with this. Really, really good demo. You'll notice she said, yeah, I'd love to do that, but, and she leans over to Carmen so that Carmen can, get that in there. Likewise, Jason, help me out in there. And then he takes it, and then he takes the choice and he runs with it. You need to use it for rent. You need to do this. He says, I've stolen the money from my, and he amplifies the choice that is given to him. Now, it's a listening, actually, you tell me what type of game it is. What does this do for your students, and where would you use this curriculum-wise?
What I noticed first off was it kind of made me run the gamut in my brain on what I knew about what was being asked, because I felt like, oh gosh, I got my partner, so I need to know what I'm talking about, or at least have something that I know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, I can depend on my partner. So I don't know. It made you less. I feel like it made me less worried that I didn't know what was going on.
That's because you're a really, really good theater person. That's really, really great. That's really great. I'm going to warn you, when you play this with 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, they want to do it all themselves. They want to, which is why I thought of this game. They go, da, 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 and then I'll say, what is your scene partner doing? Oh, yeah, I got to use them. I mean, you can see that happening in your class, right? But when they do, suddenly it becomes a collaboration. So I don't want you, you're going to play this game and it's going to work beautifully, and then you're going to play it again and it's going to fall flat on its face, and you're going to say, why? And I'm going to say, nothing against 11, 12, and 13-year-old and 17-year-old actors, but there's much more egocentric. There's much more at risk there. Jason wasn't afraid of looking stupid. He was, okay, I got to figure this out. And then he reaches over to ask Megan for help, and then all of a sudden he's helped and he's okay. So it's okay to be vulnerable in this fight, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm just warning you that it's okay if it falls on its face, and if they're not asking for help, but you have to make sure that they ask for help in that, because it's, again, they're the side of their brain. So sometimes picking a scene partner that they trust also helps. Like what? Oh, yeah, and they go there. So it's like Helen used the term brainstorm. And when we were talking about that other thing, again, they're just helping us with the scene. They're helping us get to the next level of the scene. So
I noticed that I was a lot because I had to be ready, and I didn't know what Carmine was going to say, and I didn't know what Leslie was going to say. And so even though I wasn't I was the support personnel, I found that I was listening very intensely because I was like, I don't want to let Jason down. I feel like I did. But I really love how you took it and you were like, I'm going to take this piece of it and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to take this idea and work with that. And so I felt like it was a great exercise for just listening to all these other people, but it took the pressure off of me in a sense, because I didn't have to be the one.
Yeah, you're not performing it.
So I was just the one helping to brainstorm ideas for the pillar.
Well done. Which is interesting that I call it pillars, because you're just standing. I don't call it that. That's the name of it. The four of you are just standing there. But I also think there's a symbolic, pillars as you're doing that. You'll notice both Carmen and Megan, they started going on. They wanted to do the scene. They were trying to contribute. But all you got to do is just give a nugget. And then the next person runs on with it. So, again, this is not how I had planned all last night for this little room to go, but I think it went the way it was supposed to. Lesson and point, that's what our lives are like. That we're facilitating, right? We're facilitating the growth here. And last question that I want to make sure I get a chance to cover. Can you see your kids playing this? Can you see yourself facilitating this?
We're going to play it on Saturday.
Yeah.
And our next rehearsal.
Good. I will try to find a description of it in my other things to give it to you. But since you played it, you'll be there. I'll look for that. Good. In the 10 minutes remaining, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to plow through a bunch of games so that so you know how to play them. Yes, Let's is a really beautiful token, fill the space type of game. Yes, Let's works like this. you all start filling the space. So we're all walking around the viewpoint, Sand Bogart, kind of walking around. And then one person says, let's ride a motorcycle. And then everyone says, yes, let's. And then you all get on a motorbike, and so they're all riding motorbikes. You are continuing to ride motorbikes. This will work in a Zoom setting too. We're riding the motorbikes. In a Zoom setting, I have to say who's next in charge, or somebody just calls out, let's ride a roller coaster. And then everybody says, yes, let's. Let's take a nap. Yes, let's. I love that choice too. And then everyone's sleeping there. And if it's the end of the day, they're all just sleeping. Let's eat an ice cream cone. Yes, let's. Everybody gets up and does that. Have you played this game before with your students? Have you played it? Good, Jason. It's a really wonderful free form. They all just kind of go. Everybody can be as committed as fully as they want or not as committed fully. It also affirms the yes. In other words, yes, let's. When we all holler that, yes, let's. And then they take the choice and they go with that. So I'm not going to, everybody knows how to play that. I don't necessarily have to demo that. You all see how that would work, right? Yeah? Cool. Any other comments on that? Good? Cool. I love this, and we have to play this one. This is called One Word at a Time Proverbs. Okay? You've all, even in English classes, have done the one-word stories. Once upon a time, there was a cat who went, and you've all done that in a circle or as we holler them out. But instead, we're going to make a proverb. These are just short little things based on the premise of he who puts detergent on shelf jumps for joy, or something like that, okay? So I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to say somebody else's, and the first two words are pretty much he who. And then you're going to finish it just by putting other words into it. And we're going to see, this is one of those exercises where you go, oh, is it going to work? Go ahead, Helen.
How many words, like, are we doing, like, one person does a verb, one person does a noun, or is it up to the person?
Yeah, one person. So for purposes of the exercise, and I'll talk about it later, that's a very, very language arts English thing to ask. Well done. There are certain people in the classroom who are freaking out right now, even that they just have to come up with one word. If I make it scarier by saying, make sure you come up with, a determiner or an adjective or the type of stuff. So for now, we're not going to put a limit on the words. It's going to go until we have closure. It will feel like a sentence as we do this. Okay. All right. So, and right now, Helen is scared because she doesn't have more details. And this is just, this is going on in your classroom. This is going on in your groups. There are people who are trying to, you have given me no control. What control do I have? So let's just see kind of what happens. I've never done this over Zoom.
Do we have an order that we're going to go in since all of our views are different?
I will call out the names as the teacher. Okay, got it? So here we go. And for me, and just because I'm saying he and Jason is going to say who, he'll come back. We're going to need Jason's help later on at the end of this. Okay, ready, Ann? Here we go. I will say the first one. Jason will say the second one, and then we'll go from there, and I'll call out the name. Okay, ready? Here we go. And he, Jason. Ooh. Leslie.
Scrapes.
Say it again.
Scrapes.
Scrapes?
Yeah.
Got it. He who scrapes, Megan.
Icing.
Icing. Helen.
Needs.
Sarah.
Pepsid.
Was that Pepsi?
You can say little words. You can say words like the.
That's fantastic. Very good, Carmen.
Twice.
He who scrapes icing needs Pepsid twice. Jason.
done.
He who scrapes icing needs Pepsi twice done. Well done! Well done! Oh, well done, well done. Cool. So I want to address what Helen said. So it can be an exercise if you want to do it that way. We're going to make a sentence and they're in charge of an adjective. You can do
That
that.
wasn't what I meant. I was asking, basically how many words does each
Okay.
person add? Are you wanting he who
Got it.
finishes the whole proverb, or he who add one
Yeah.
word, next person do next word?
Yeah, and I wasn't clear with that. So yeah, I see that. I see that. But I also know that I've worked with individuals who say, do I get the subject and I get the verb and I get the predicate? And you can do that too. Again, I would gauge it on what you think your class is ready for. At 5 minutes to, I'm just going to let that lay, but you see how this would work, right? And what I like about it better than, there's two ways you can do story forms. Is you can go, once upon a time there was a little girl, and the little girl was skipping on her way to the forest, and then she went, stop, and then you assign somebody else, and you assign somebody else, and you assign somebody else. That's really fun. My kids love that. You can go to one word. Once there was a little girl, but they get wonky with stuff like that. What I love about this is it's contained. You can write it down. You can put it up on the board as they kind of inform each other. There's a little more control rather than the big story that you get out. Any other comments on that before I move on to the next?
I like the one word proverb because, as you just kind of said, with one word story, it's like if you're in a circle of students, it's like they don't want to end the sentence, and it just ends up being a run-on sentence.
Yep.
And you have to say, okay, put a punctuation mark, start a new sentence. Come on.
Yeah.
And then it goes all over the place. Little babies, it's weird.
Yeah. It goes off the rails. It does what it's supposed to. There's nothing wrong with that exercise. You could probably do that exercise before you get to this, and then this is the creme de la creme.
Right.
We self-governed by making sure that the word was appropriate before us, or what we followed up with. So it's a good word exercise. Sometimes you can say, when I played it with others, they'll come up with different choices. You'll notice how we all kind of laughed and affirmed as we got into those things. Again, it's a really good kind of language collaborative exercise that you can do. You also have to say yes, which has come before as you get there. In the remaining, because I want to make sure that you got time for what you're writing for Devon, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games that are on that sheet of paper. I'm going to plow through them very quickly. They're very easy. I Got You a Gift is a game where you say, I got you this gift, and I give it to somebody, and just like in Remember When, they take that gift and they add to it. You can also turn it into kind of a morph game that they give to one another. So that's that game. It's on the paper. That's not crumping. That's not crumping. Works like this. I start an exercise. I could dance. I could do whatever. And then I say I say Leslie's name. And Leslie says, that's not crumping. And then she says, this is crumping. Yeah. And then Carmen says, that's not crumping. This is crumping.
This is crumping.
And then Helen says, that's not crumping. This is crumping. And then after that, Jason says, that's not crumping. This is crumping. You can see how you do this in a big circle. So you take what the person's doing, and then you throw it, and it's called, that's not crumping. This is crumping. And I love that game. And if you put a beat to it, it works really, really well.
Are these all on the list that are you emailing this on the list, or should I put it to my notes?
No, every single one of these are on that list. Now, you may forget it because you weren't crumping, but this is on the list that I sent you yesterday. That's not crumping. This is crumping. And it's a really, really great icebreaker. You want to get those kids ready to sing Godspell? That's not crumping. This is crumping.
That would be really good for getting the energy out of them.
Oh, yeah.
They're really hyper, and just kind of getting them to calm down a little bit.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
like the word. I really like the one word proverb.
I do
Because
too.
I can see how the one word proverb could work at rehearsal. How you can finish one of the parables or finish a scene, and
Oh, yeah.
then sum up that scene in a one word proverb together.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I can see it being
Yeah.
a really good team building exercise and demonstration about the flexibility of the English language.
Yep. Yep.
A different application than what you're thinking of, but it would work for my purposes.
2 last games, and then it's the amazing Sonnet Man's turn. This is called Grab and Share. I would make all of you grab something within the range of your computer. I would say, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to grab something. And then you grab something that's closest to you and say, this is my treasured calculator. It was given to me by my grandma. And my grandma gave this to me when I got an iguana. She thought I might want to share it with my iguana. Okay? And then you build a story based on that. So that's exercise. Thank you for grabbing those things. I love that. Well done. And then the last one, we all disappear from the screen. And as we don't go yet, we all disappear from the screen. And you can do this by either turning off or turning on. I think this works better. And then we're all going to come back, and I tell everybody how to come back. So you're going to come back as if you just walked into a surprise party. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then you'll all come back, and you'll act as if you just come into a surprise party. Okay, ready? So everybody disappear. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh! Oh! What? Oh! Amazing, amazing. You can use that same thing. You just walked into a funeral. You just walked into, you just watched a robbery. You just walked in and found out you have a test. All of that type of stuff. This can work in a circle format too, or heads on desk, and they all come up, and they can just pop into those environments, and you just throw those environments that way. Cool? It's been a great morning of games.